So you're always giving out to me. You're always in our broad topics when we're talking about what happened on these wrestling shows. You always leave Eric Watson Goldilocks the best of the rest. So, because something very notable happens in the Goldilocks story this month, Liam, we're leading off with Goldilocks.
Oh, hell yeah, you know. I'm glad Alex Shelley and Goldilocks are getting the respect they deserve after, you know, brutally and unfairly not getting the poster.
Well, listen. They didn't deserve the poster, so...
What the fuck? You gave it to goddamn Chris Sabin and he did nothing.
The 6 Sides of Steel got the poster. It's a historic match in TNA history.
They've already done 6 Sides of Steel once.
No, they haven't. They've done a steel cage.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time they've done a 6 Sides of Steel. And I get to say the word 6 Sides of Steel a lot. And I love the way 6 Sides of Steel sounds.
I know that all the listeners, they also would have preferred an Alex Shelley poster.
You see, the thing is, because we are doing an episode a month, I sent Shannon a list of, like, here's posters up until February 2006. Work away. Actually, no, I think I went further than that. But I was like, you know, work away ahead on them because we're behind. So, Shelley's in none of them. So...
I demand an Alex Shelley face to be added.
We can commission a separate Alex Shelley poster just for Shelley.
Oh, an Alex Shelley variant?
Yeah.
Alright.
Which we will release probably after the episode comes out, but we will do
That's how we can hide the episode in 2 weeks between this one and the next one.
The special Alex Shelley variant. The fans have demanded it.
Yeah. They tweeted us with hashtag @L. What was the other? Remember his gear that used to have like the @ at the start and then like an L and then it was it just EX or was it like a 3X?
There was a weird symbol, I think, alright.
Yeah. So everyone tweet us that.
So, Impact number 5, July 2nd, 2004, we have the TNA Wrestling debut of Alex Shelley as he faces Elix Skipper.
One of the most influential pro wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, primetime.
Why must we fight?
You set me up for it, I'm sorry.
I was very excited to see Alex Shelley, obviously. Like, this match was the one that I got excited for it. I was like, yeah. And then, like, it was kind of nothing. And I was like, oh. But then he had, like, the best match on every show since, so it's been fine.
You have overrated every Alex Shelley this month.
Whoa, what the fuck? First of all, I've rated them perfectly.
If you go to patreon.com/kiddingme, you can see our star ratings for every match this month, and you'll see, I think, every single Liam star rating for an Alex Shelley match is higher than mine.
Except this one.
So yeah, the Skipper beats Shelley, play of the day, Shane, Tracy, and Kazarian, whom I will call Shazarian from now on, even though I don't think they were ever formally dubbed Shazarian. I will call them Shazarian. We're at the top of the ramp.
You call them Shatrarian?
To add Tracy in there?
Yeah. Sexist.
She obviously deserves it.
Shatrarian.
You're a Shatrarian.
With your Shatrarian opinions.
This is the match where I believe, maybe not the first time, but Don is like, Skipper is the best ex-guy to never win the belt, and by God will he say that a lot.
I don't know if that like actually puts someone over.
It kind of buries them. That's like, to be fair, Skipper's never really been a consistent X Division guy. They've always like dropped him back to tag teams, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this match. I just like Alex Shelley. I just think he's neat Marge meme.
Yeah, Skipper won with the play of the day. Shelley signed with TNA on July 8th. Terms of the deal have not been disclosed. Shelley has been telling friends that he doesn't know if he'll be able to honor his Ring of Honor commitments. Oh, it turns out he does. It's basically like, while there's still like issues with the likes of Styles and Daniels, they're just like, yeah, Shelley, just keep doing it. It's fine.
Well, we talked about this when Sabin debuted, but what was like your first Alex Shelley exposure?
My first Alex Shelley exposure would have been the very tail end of Paparazzi Productions, so not the good stuff. So, like, the Bob Backlund, big fat oily guy. Actually, no, Bob Backlund stuff is kind of the good stuff, too.
Yeah, that rocks. I don't know what you're talking about.
My first meaningful Alex Shelley exposure would have been the Best of the X Division DVD, where he would have been in a bunch of, like, random matches. But, like, in terms of, like, watching him on a week-to-week basis, it would have been the Bob Backlund stuff.
I think it was Motor City Machine Guns. But very quickly after that, I bought, like, Ring of Honor stuff.
Yeah.
Including one of the 2 Ring of Honor DVDs, compilations that I owned being the Alex Shelley one. So, like, very quickly, I was like, oh, this is the guy.
This is my guy. Get out of here, Rob Van Dam, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Chris Jericho. I found Alex Shelley.
Yeah. Detroit's close to Canada, right?
It's on the border, yes.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, he counts.
Congratulations on your knowledge of U.S. geography.
That's about all I know. Well, oh, that's a good Patreon series. Geography quiz, US geography quiz between the two of us.
Well, you did just win $500 in your trivia contest, so apparently you're pretty good.
It was all animal themed.
Mm.
Yeah, and I crushed it. What can I say?
Did any of the Serengeti facts I dropped on the watch along help?
Unfortunately, there was no Serengeti related. It was all Australian animals, I believe. No, it wasn't. That's a fucking lie. There was definitely an Australian animal focus, but they did delve around. You know, would you like to know the one that I cinched out for our team?
Go on.
There was one that was like, who am I? I am a cat. I don't know if it was cat. It was like, I am an animal voiced by Bill Murray, named after a Spider-Man actor.
It's Garfield.
It was Garfield, and I shouted it so loud because I was so excited to get it. Because it was clear no one else on the team had understood that.
How does nobody know about Garfield?
I don't think they knew, like, the Bill Murray Garfield specifically.
That's disappointing.
Which I have seen 1 billion times, so. But, yeah, there was, some of these questions were really fucking hard. And then some of them were, like, the easiest thing in the world. So, there was some variant there. But, yep, came second.
I thought you said you won.
Devastated. Came second, but won $500.
What was the top prize?
1,000.
What is this lucrative Australian trivia contest you're going to?
Can't talk about it. It's underground.
Frickin' $500 for second?
Yeah.
Usually trivia prizes for here like vouchers.
And the best part is the second team that I wasn't a part of, but was also playing for a club that I am a board member on, came third.
Ah, so you are clearly the best part of that club.
So we ended up with $750.
At the very least, smartest.
That's how I would describe myself, yes.
I was going to ask, what percentage of the questions did you yourself answer? How much do you carry that team?
But I think the problem is, most of the ones that, we all just knew, it was me and another person who basically ran the whole thing.
Wow, burying the third guy. Wow, I hope he listens.
Well, it was a 4-person team, so. But me and the other person, we basically knew all the same things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They probably knew a few more than me. So I'd put it them number 1, me number 2.
Very modest of you.
There was also a drawing component.
Did you do the drawing?
I did the drawing.
You are an artist. We
did get 0 points, but it's because, no, it wasn't due to quality of the drawing.
Uh-huh.
They gave us animals which none of us had ever heard of, so I just drew jokes.
Which I admire.
There was like a pecoride. You know what a pecoride is?
No.
It's like a little pig dude.
Mm.
But I interpreted it as a bird riding a penny farthing, so that's what I drew.
When you said the word pecoride, I did think of a bird.
Thank you. And I forget the other two. Then I drew like an Italian cat.
Mm.
And then there was like a weird bat rat man who I drew as Batman.
Mm.
So that's how I held my team together.
Well done.
If there was a baby bear, I would have known what to draw.
I don't know how to pivot now.
Well, I tried to give you something.
Well, I mean more tonally than content-wise. So Alex Shelley was meant to wrestle AJ Styles in this match rather than Elix Skipper. Sadly, AJ Styles' brother committed suicide shooting himself the day before this was taped, which cast a dark cloud over the Orlando tapings. Styles was scheduled to face Alex Shelley, and Primetime subbed. A lot of people in the company were really broken up as he was there and getting ready for his match when he got the news. David Young, who was probably his best friend in the company, was also taking it hard, although he did work a dark match that night against Shark Boy.
God damn.
So yeah, you're there, you're getting ready to wrestle Alex Shelley, and you get what is just utterly tragic news.
It's not a great thing at all.
And if you notice, I think on the show where he's wrestling Kazarian and Shane, I think he's wearing a black armband. So, Goldilocks. Again, how do you pivot to Goldilocks from that? Oh, god damn it.
Goldilocks is insane.
So yeah, on the first pay-per-view of the month, NWA-TNA Baby number 102, July 7th, Goldilocks, we have a feature on her and Eric Watts about how she defeated Eric Watts. She has all his money. She owns his contract now. And now she's looking to run TNA. She goes backstage with Scott Hudson. She's like, don't hate me because I'm rich. Filthy rich. She then offers to grow hair for Scott Hudson. Because she has that kind of money.
She has bought a new object.
Yeah, so she has bought herself a new X Division object. She's gone out. She's spent her money. She's bought herself a wrestler.
So, like, obviously the payoff here is that it's the baby bear, Alex Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have Shelley win on the last show?
Well, I don't think they had signed him yet. They only signed him after this pay-per-view. So maybe it was like they brought him in to do that match. They impressed him. And then they're like, all right, we'll start doing this story with you.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. The way that we had read it out, it made me feel like he had already signed. So it's like, should have just given him a win.
Yeah, PW Torch have July 8th as the date he signed, which is the day after this pay-per-view where Goldie was like, I have acquired myself an X Division wrestler.
How do you feel about Goldilocks' wardrobe?
I, honestly, of all the iterations of Goldilocks, this is my favorite.
She's truly unhinged, but now she's like a character in a Knives Out.
Yeah, she's like full 70s actress where she's like, darling, I'm rich, filthy rich.
She's doing that fake stage accent that doesn't really exist.
If you've seen Frasier, there's Frasier's agent. The character's name is BB. Tremendous role in the show. Like, Goldilocks is just doing that, and it's really good.
Would you like to start the flagship war over Frasier now?
Oh, they don't like Frasier even though it rules?
They are notorious Frasier haters.
How can you hate Frasier? It's such a good show.
I am generally pro Frasier.
I do not understand how you can sit and watch like that show, particularly like the David Hyde Pierce performance in that show, the Niles character.
Go in.
One of the best sitcom performances ever. He's so good. Every like little nuance that man has ever have to do, every line delivery, every little quip, every bit of physical comedy, and then you have Kelsey Grammer, who's nearly just as much as equal. Like that, those two central performances in that show are so good and funny. Like, I'm 5 seasons into Frasier at the moment, currently watching it, and it's just such good comfort food TV that is consistently funny. And anybody that doesn't like Frasier is wrong. They're just wrong.
Kelsey Grammer, the GOAT. Mm-hmm. Legitimate psychopath, which I appreciate in my actors.
Yep.
One of my favorite 30 Rock roles.
Kelsey Grammer?
Yeah, when he shows up as basically Kelsey Grammer.
Also, like, just the best Simpsons guest character.
Yeah, so, like, first of all, just a big double bird to the flagship.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the opportunity of putting us on your podcast network. But, I want you to make a choice right now, right?
Go.
If there's one thing you're known for, it is your love of Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Parks and Rec or Frasier?
I'm only 5 seasons through Frasier's 11. Just a lot. Mm-hmm. I like Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows ever, and I don't think Frasier quite reaches that level. But maybe we'll see. Maybe when I finish Frasier, I'll be like, God, I love this more than I love most things. But I think Frasier is fantastic. I think that show is
We will
just
revisit
so
it once you've completed Frasier.
Yes, I'm only halfway through.
All right. I just wanted to throw that in there because we had the opportunity. When else? Actually, no, we talk about Frasier quite a lot, so maybe we could have gotten to it at some other point, but here we are.
But Goldie ends this interview with Hudson just saying, "Ta-ta, be gone with you."
She's so good.
She's tremendous.
I should bring it back in this role.
So, Impact, July 9th, Impact number 6, we have Abyss and Alex Shelley, the new tag team underneath Goldilocks. That's bad phrasing. Facing Jarrell Clark and Mikey Batts.
I like Mikey Batts because he feels like Austin Aries at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only note.
I was thinking like Billy Kidman at home, but yeah, I see Austin Aries too.
Yeah, I really like this match.
This is like we are getting more and more of like the regular TNA jobbers. Like, we don't have Cassidy Riley yet, even though he has been on the show before as part of the Hot Shots. But we have Jarrell Clark now, we have Mikey Batts, who are like really good, wacky flips guys who you can just throw in there with any X Division dude and they'll probably have like a 3-star match.
Mm-hmm. This is why I like the Shelley stuff so much. Mm-hmm. Is that in matches like this, he just brings a next level of polish and fluidity to his matches.
Yeah.
Like, even when he's just grappling with dudes and doing hold exchanges, everything about it is just so smooth and compelling.
Mm.
And I'm watching it and I'm like, it's insane that this guy was like 2 years in?
2 years
3
in.
years?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he has a level of polish that I know that's easy to rag on like US indies now, but could you imagine like any like notable US indie guy being 2 years in and being this polished?
No one is.
So it's like, he's on a show where it's like, even like the best wrestlers on this show, I wouldn't necessarily call polished pro wrestlers.
Mm.
They're more like really good and dynamic performers who can do really crazy spots. And a lot of them eventually become like the most polished wrestlers of all time. But he still stands out even in comparison to them because he's going in there and doing something similar but at a higher quality and maybe not as flashy, but everything in between it is much better looking.
Yeah, because he does more like grounded technical wrestling than he does flying here, which he can do flying. He just generally doesn't. So compared to like, you know, Shane, Kazarian, PD, Sabin, he just generally has that vibe of confidence a lot more.
Yeah, he definitely feels like he doesn't have that second guessing or that like, you know, like a lot of guys in the X Division, you'll see them like gear up before they have to do their big spot.
Mm.
Shelley feels like he naturally walks into it.
Mm.
And you can see, like, even in these little moments, why this guy would become so influential and basically influence a style of American television and independent wrestling that existed, but popularized and made conceivable on a mainstream level.
I know you mentioned Shelley's like above his contemporaries even at this stage, but when you look at like it might be extremely unfair to compare these days indie wrestlers to this golden generation of independent wrestling. But when you look at like the base floor level of competence of the likes of Sabin and Shelley and Aries and Strong and Loki and Styles and Daniels is a 10-year pro at this stage, and Samoa Joe and Brian Kendrick and all these guys from this era who like the floor of those guys even when they were young was really high. And you'd wonder, like, what caused that? Was it great training? Was it, like, just the fact that they were all wrestling each other a lot? Like, part of it is probably that they weren't recruited too young, which I think is happening a lot these days, where guys are hired too young when they're not ready for television, as opposed to here, guys are, like, you know, they're in TNA, which... No offense to TNA in 04, it's not exactly the biggest stage. And maybe that's what helps them, that they're on like TNA at a period when TNA doesn't have like the largest exposure. It's not like the 1.5 million people on Spike every week. I also
think it helps that there's like a prominent Golden Age era indie company that's like, go, you know what I mean? And giving them the opportunities to like do everything that they want to do in independent wrestling and giving them a platform big enough that it actually has a positive impact on their careers. And it's like, it's not just them doing 30-minute draws on shows that like a couple hundred people are watching, you know? It's them in a big prominent position with A-class talent at the same time.
And it probably helps a lot to have like the two sides of the coin that are Ring of Honor and TNA at this stage. Where Ring of Honor is like, you do your wrestling, you get really good at wrestling. And TNA is like, hey, here's how TV works.
Yeah, TNA's like, here's the hard cam, brother.
TNA gives you like that television education. Ring of Honor gives you that wrestling grounding. And then you come out of that a much more polished wrestler because you get both sides of the business.
Yeah, which I think is something that we were kind of hoping from AEW at the start. Like, you know, with the whole letting their guys work other companies. But it's like, the guys who were already working other companies were allowed to do it, and the guys who should be doing it didn't.
Mm.
So, I don't know, there's definitely something to be said about getting experience at like two different sides of wrestling completely.
Yeah.
That's probably why also people get so polished when they go to Japan. Despite the fact, like, and sorry, not despite, but added on to the benefit of like working in an environment where like the base level of pro wrestler is way higher.
Mm.
but also just experienced in a different environment and learning a different style. And like that's kind of the same thing here. It's like you have the indie style, but you also get to work with TV wrestlers.
So Abyss and Shelley beat Jarrell Clark and Mikey Batts. This is where he is formally given the Baby Bear name.
I had no clue about the Baby Bear name until you mentioned it to me.
I just said the words Baby Bear at some stage.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I don't think you explained it to me either. So now I have context to it.
There's still not really context to it. He's just called the Baby Bear. He's Goldilocks' baby bear. I guess it does make sense. It's the three bears thing, but still.
I think, oh my god!
You just put that together?
Yeah!
Goldilocks three bears, they should call Abyss a big bear.
Yeah, I thought it was like a little brother, big brother thing.
This is like when I admitted to only getting pallbearer way too late.
Oh, wow.
The revelation of Goldilocks and the three bears, and that's why he's called
Baby Bear.
Baby
Because I call
Bear.
it Goldie. I don't ever call it Goldilocks.
Yeah.
So it's like, I never put together it was Goldilocks and there's also two of them. So, you know, they needed a medium bear.
That's what Eric Watts wanted to be.
Ah.
Or Shark Boy and D-Ray. She owns a lot of contracts by the end of this month.
Yeah, she should start her own rival promotion.
Mm.
Goldilocks Promotions.
It's just Abyss, Alex Shelley, D-Ray 3000, Shark Boy, and Eric Watts. And Georgie Watts as well.
Better than this fucking show.
Abyss hit a fucking awesome press slam into a choke slam on Mikey Batts in this match.
Abyss hits a lot of really great stuff.
And I get why people don't do that, because it probably causes concussions sometimes, but it looked fucking awesome.
Ah, God.
It's like the shock treatment thing. It's like, I get why nobody does that. It destroys your spine. But it rules!
It does, in fact, rule.
Abyss won with the Black Hole Slam on Bats.
Mm-hmm.
NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 103, July 14th. Abyss and Alex Shelley defeated Sanjay Dutt and Sabu.
Again, all of these matches are just really high quality.
Sabu hit the triple jump moonsault on Shelley, but Goldie had the ref distracted. Abyss then accidentally threw a chair at Shelley's head, setting up some random stuff between Shelley and Abyss. There's some dissension in the ranks of Goldilocks' army here.
Goldilocks goon?
Shelley won with a Fisherman's Buster. Shelley and Goldie then left as Sabu looked to put Abyss through a table. They were standing at the top of the ramp and they're like, nah. But then there's some Raven stuff that we will talk about when we're talking about Raven.
Yeah, there was a little interlude with Abyss and Sabu during both of these feuds.
Yeah, so the story here is that Goldilocks has brought in her baby bear Alex Shelley, and she loves him. Naturally.
Why wouldn't you?
And she loves him perhaps at the expense of her original client, I guess, Abyss.
I do like that Alex Shelley, as a progressive king, has influenced Goldilocks to no longer be racist.
That's true. She is doing no bad accents other than 70s film stars, which is a good accent.
Because it's not a real one, so feel free, go ahead.
Yeah.
I like this team a lot too. I'm kind of bummed that they're already breaking it up. Because as soon as they started doing the descent, I was like, ah.
At least give me an AMW match before they break up.
Yeah. But also, I guess the sooner they break this up, the sooner Alex Shelley gets to do cool X Division stuff. So.
Speaking of Alex Shelley doing cool X Division stuff, Impact number 7, July 16th, Alex Shelley faces Roderick Strong.
Roderick Strong. I mean, speaking of two of my favorite wrestlers, is this the time for me to go on my Roderick Strong top 5 wrestlers of the 2010s rant?
You can do it whenever you want. There'll be a decent number of Strong appearances from now until 06, but, shoot your shot.
I'll save it to his last shot. I have nothing but respect for Roderick Strong. That dude is one of the best wrestlers fucking ever to me. This dude, especially when, I'm gonna do it a little bit now because I want to talk about Roderick Strong, and this is my fucking show. Roderick Strong, towards that, before he got signed, I think you would be hard pressed to find a better wrestler in the world. As that, he was a guy who, I think there's a misnomer about PWG not being a story company. I think there is a lot of stories in PWG, but Roderick Strong amplified that and delivered one of the best character runs I had seen in wrestling in the 2010s for sure. Because He goes in there, he has the whole heel turn, becomes the most unlikable prick in the fucking world. If people haven't like thought about or seen that Roderick Strong PWG run from like 2015 to 2016 before he got signed, you need to go back and watch it because it's so good. Every match is insanely high quality. Him winning the title, him just being this son of a bitch. It's so good. And then he goes in and he gets signed, and honestly, like at the start of his first like initial run, it wasn't great, right? Like it was kind of dull. But as soon as he got into Undisputed Era and then Bobby Fish got hurt and he started teaming up with Kyle, they were having these crazy tag matches. He delivers in every aspect he's ever been asked to be in. Ring of Honor, like a legitimate all killer, no filler guy. One of my first Ring of Honor matches, one of the matches that made me fall in love with Ring of Honor was Eddie Edwards versus Roderick Strong. I haven't even talked about goddamn Dojo Bros, who have one of the best tag team matches of all time against the fucking Young Bucks on like a random mystery Vortex show. I just love Rod Strong, and I hope we'll see him in AEW soon, replacing Bob Fish.
Because like Roddy was always great, but yeah, there was that like 2015, like right before he left the Indies, where he's just like, he's just decided one day to wake up and be like, "Fuck it, I'm the best wrestler in the world now."
It's like, I think he'd always like had the in-ring ability and was always delivering consistently to that level, but that was the year that he's like, "Oh, I get the character too." And like that's when he put it together as a full package. And it sucks that we only got like 2 years of that full package. But he's still consistently one of the best. And if he does end up leaving like he's been trying to do and ends up going to AEW, I do hope that we get to keep elements of that and he doesn't become like a background guy to Adam Cole cutting promos, because he's so good as a piece of shit heel.
I think TK should have sent Triple H an email and be like, "Hey pal, how you feel about Mal Black for Rod Strong? Sound good?"
Yeah, I mean, legitimately. I guess, like, that's probably logistically impossible. Like, from a contract standpoint. But, like, an informal agreement to be like, "Hey, let's do a little swapsy." And while you're there, you can swap Punk for Kevin Steen as well. But, you know, like, I would kill for it. I really, like, he is, like, the guy, you know? We got all the other ones that we wanted, but we didn't get Roddy, we didn't get Sammy, we didn't get Steen.
At least Steen is being pushed again. That's a plus.
Yeah. And to be fair, I'm enjoying the current stuff they're doing with Sammy as well. So, like, and also, like, I get why if, like, Steen and Sammy were like, "We don't need to go out there and kill our bodies, we did our art, let's do our money," you know? But, like, Roddy still clearly wants to go at that level.
And still can.
And he was written off from NXT 2.0, so maybe.
So he can have his big main roster debut and wrestle Miz.
Hell yeah. But, you know, Roderick Strong is one of these dudes where you're just like, you wish he I'm glad he went there and made money, but like if AEW was formed 5 years earlier, you know?
He'd be a top guy.
Yeah. So maybe and hopefully we'll get to see that, because, you know, the prospect of like a Cole O'Reilly Strong versus Elite match blows my mind.
So Shelley here beats Strong with the Fisherman's Brainbuster again. Goldie very excited, and then Abyss sadly watched on.
Also, Roddy got an entrance here.
Yeah, he did, and it's like red gear Roddy with the long tights.
Long boys. Yeah, it's a very different. I remember like the first time I saw Roddy in the long tights, and like he's like a lot bulkier and thicker here.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, "Who is this guy?" Because I'm used to like skinny, jacked shorts Roddy for sure.
I think the first time I saw Roddy live would have been Super Card of Honor in 2009 when he wrestled Nakajima.
Wow. How was that experience?
They hit each other very hard, would you believe?
I do believe it.
That is generally a thing that Roderick Strong and particularly Nakajima tend to do.
I mean, like, I'm saying the same thing. Like, the first time I ever saw him was that Eddie match. Where they just belted the fuck out of each other. And that's what made me an Eddie Edwards guy, too.
It was, like, the natural thing to be attracted to for Strong. Because, like, obviously he was the backbreaker guy. But he was also, like, the super hard chop guy at the time. So, like, he'd just do his super hard chops. You'd be like, fucking holy shit, he killed him.
Yeah. Again, like, you see that with Eddie as well, right? It's like those two dudes just exchanging those super hard chops and tearing the place down and just going a million miles an hour. And I think that may have been like the first like 30-minute plus match I'd ever seen. So I was like, how? How is this possible?
You're allowed to wrestle for longer than 15 minutes?
Yeah.
So yeah, Shelley wins. Then next show, NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 104, we go backstage to Hudson and Goldilocks as Goldie is like, I have all this money, and I would like to give it away if you can defeat my boys in a contract versus money match.
I think all matches are technically versus money matches.
There is more money for the winner at the pay window.
At the pay window. And we go to Abyss and Sabu.
Well, D-Ray walks in. He's very confused. He's just like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You're giving out money? And Goldilocks is like, yes. And he accepts the challenge without, and then Hudson's like, do you realize what you just did? She'll own your contract. He's just like, I just heard money, bro.
Yeah, D-Ray's great. I really enjoy his like character. I think he's a lot of fun. I will admit, I am disappointed at his change in gear. He swapped to like more, I guess that you would say they're high quality tights, but I liked the tie-dye.
They don't work quite as well for D-Ray, do they?
No, he just kind of feels like a guy now with those tights. When he had they kind of like reminded me of like Mikey Whipwreck. With like all the colors and stuff, and I thought they looked cool. But you know, do what you gotta do, I guess.
He should at least have gotten tights similar to Shark Boys.
Oh, that would have been fun. He could have got, blue.
We'll talk about Abyss and Sabu and the Raven stuff, because there's not much Goldilocks development there.
No.
So, Impact 8, July 23rd, Abyss and Shelley face Abismo Negro and Mr. Aguila. I think a big sign of confidence about both Shelley and this story is they're on every fucking show.
Yeah, they've become a pushed entity immediately.
And they're winning. They're always winning.
Yeah. Which is like, you know, that's how it works.
In fact, I think they win every match they have this month.
Yeah, I don't think of one of the, like, except for the, you know, the initial singles, but as soon as they get into this act, it's all wins.
They win all their tags. Shelley wins the singles against Strong, and Abyss wins the singles against Sabu. So once they get into the Goldilocks orbit, she's the manager of champions, Liam. They keep winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Shelley and Abyss against Abismo Negro and Mr. Aguila. Nice little match. It's always fun to see Shelley in there with guys who can do different styles, because he can do different styles.
No, he can match anyone, and that's another like crazy thing about Alex Shelley. It's like you put him in there in any environment and he'll succeed. Like he obviously he does the indie thing, he does like the TV wrestling thing, and then he goes to Japan and becomes like one of the best super juniors for like 5 years. He's so diverse. And then like you can put him in there with like any of these like technical luchadors, and he'll have these crazy matches with them too. Like he's the coolest and the best.
Sorry, the coolest is Frankie Kazarian, but I will give you the best.
Okay.
There's a fun thing where it's Abyss against Abismo Negro, so it's Abyss versus the Black Abyss in this match. The finish here, Abyss hit Abismo Negro with the Black Hole Slam. Shelley hit Mr. Aguila with a double stomp at the back of the head. Shelley got the pin. Abyss was pinning at the same time, but the referee counted Shelley's pin. So the idea was Shelley stole Abyss's limelight. Shelley stole the pin.
And Abyss, he's getting sick of this shit.
Yeah, he's upset about Goldilocks having her new baby bear.
I mean, wouldn't you too?
A quip from Conan. Conan hasn't lived up to his reputation for being outspoken since he left WCW, at least until Wednesday night. After being informed that he and the other members of the 3 Live crew weren't booked for an Impact match, Conan asked someone in management, "How is it possible that we don't have a storyline, but Goldilocks has one every week?"
Well, because Goldilocks is entertaining, you fuck.
Wow, shots fired at the 3 Live crew.
Yeah, the worst act in the company.
I can't deny that. I think they are the worst act in the company. NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 105, July 28th. We have another tag match. This time, D-Ray and Shark Boy have accepted the challenge, so they will face Alex Shelley and Abyss in a money versus contracts match.
Another really fun match.
I do think Abyss and Shelley should deal with these two a little faster.
Yeah. Sure. But also, like, it's not like they're complete jabrones.
Yeah.
Like, they're the Impact jabrones, you know what I mean? Like, it's not Mikey Bats. It's Shark Boy, who is like the mascot of the company, and D-Ray, who has like actually been involved in storylines.
They're the main event jobbers as opposed to the undercard jobbers.
Yeah, they're the jobbers who will beat other jobbers.
So Abyss was briefly infatuated with D-Ray's comb, which I quite enjoyed. He just started staring at it.
There's a lot of hair continuity with Abyss.
He is fascinated with hair, it's true.
He should have been a hairdresser character.
There's a moment I liked where Abyss was just sitting on the apron, looking sad.
Yeah.
But they'd eventually accept a pretty aggressive tag toward Alex Shelley. Abyss want the Black Hole Slam on D-Ray, so D-Ray now, so Goldie now owns D-Ray and Sharp Boy's contracts. For another big story development afterwards, Desire attacked Goldylocks.
And everyone seemed very confused by it.
It's like, we don't know why this is happening, but sure.
Yeah, maybe Desire will be Mama Bear.
So later in the show, Hudson has Shelley and Goldie. She talks about how she knows why Desire did it. Georgie Watts put her up to it, didn't she?
Yes.
Before it turns out Desire comes in and they explain that they need the money for their kids because they're broke. That, again, is the actual story here. That Desire and Sonny Siaki have no money to feed their children.
To employ pro wrestlers for this company.
They don't have any money to feed their children, so they need to try and win Goldilocks' money. Siaki seems to accept a match against Shelley, but then Goldie is like, you won't face Shelley. You'll face my Abyss.
Which I thought was actually a good bit too. A cool little a little swerve for them. You're not getting what you think.
And one would presume that match will be on the first pay-per-view of August. So there's all your Goldilocks and Alex Shelley. No Eric Watts this month. She does own his contract.
Icing him out.
So are you happy? We led off with, frankly, I think about 20 minutes on Goldilocks.
Well, we let off on about 20 minutes of Alex Shelley.
I don't know. I think we mostly talked about Goldie.
Actually, we mostly talked about Roderick Strong.
Everybody but Goldie. Goldie's gonna be upset. It's like, this is her big month and we didn't talk about her.
But she did a cool Frasier accent, so.
Yeah. Toss salad, scrambled eggs and whatnot.